Hey true believers, welcome to another amazing episode of History of the Marvel Universe. This channel is brought to you in part by Patreon supporters. If you would like to vote in monthly polls and get your name in the special thanks at the end of each episode, you can sign up for as little as $1 per month over at patreon.com/MaryMarvelite. The link is in the description below. The code name Ms. Marvel was first used by U.S. Air Force pilot Carol Danvers when she gained magnificent powers similar to those of her friend and ally, the alien warrior Mar-Vell, better known as Captain Marvel. After Mar-Vell's death, his title was used by several others like Monica Rambeau and his son, Genis-Vell, until Captain America convinced Danvers to claim it for herself, and so she became the new Captain Marvel. And sometime after that, a teenage girl named Kamala Khan developed inhuman powers of her own, and, idolizing Carol Danvers, took her old name of Ms. Marvel. While Danvers and Khan are perhaps the most well-known heroes to have used this name, did you know that there was in fact another Ms. Marvel? Years before Danvers became Captain Marvel, there was a time in which she operated as the cosmic hero Binary, and during this time someone else took up her previous code name, a woman named Sharon Ventura. As a child, Sharon was raised by her widowed father, Army General Jack Ventura. She accompanied him as he traveled from post to post, but she always failed to measure up to his high expectations. She continuously pushed herself physically and academically, becoming an accomplished gymnast, but even winning second place in a national competition wasn't enough to satisfy her father. Things came to a head when one of her roommates, and a close friend, was suspected of being involved in a cheating scandal, and Sharon was ordered to indict them. Sharon refused and was promptly expelled for disobeying a direct order. This marked the end of Sharon's troubled relationship with her father as Jack refused to listen and shut his daughter out of his life. And any chance at reconciliation evaporated a year later when Jack Ventura passed away from heart failure. While Sharon resented her father's strict regimented ways, she was left with a strong desire to prove herself. She wanted to be the best in her every endeavor, but began to pursue more dangerous professions and extreme sports. Whether it was skydiving, mountain climbing, or stunt racing, Sharon Ventura demonstrated her ability to excel. And after briefly working as an animal tamer at a traveling circus, she joined a group of motorcyclists called the Thunder Riders. It was during this time that she first met Ben Grimm, otherwise known as The Thing from the world-famous Fantastic Four. You see, sometime before this, Ben was one of many superhumans to be abducted by an extremely powerful interdimensional being known as the Beyonder, and brought to the patchwork planet called Battleworld. During the secret war that was held there, Ben discovered that he could change back and forth between his human and thing forms at will, and suspected that this was due to the planet itself. And so when the war ended and the other heroes returned to Earth, Ben remained on Battleworld. While there, because of the Beyonder's wish-granting abilities, beings and locations were spawned from the Thing's subconscious mind, including a beautiful warrior woman named Terriana, who he was smitten with. However, he also inadvertently created an evil personification of his human form, Grimm. Ultimately, Terriana and the evil Grimm killed each other in battle, which left Ben once again unable to transform at will. He returned to Earth but had a falling out with the rest of the Fantastic Four, in part because his teammate Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, had formed a relationship with Ben's former girlfriend Alicia Masters. He, of course, had no way of knowing that the Alicia who romanced Johnny was actually a shape-shifting alien Skrull named Elijah. Hitting the road, Ben eventually came upon a billboard showing Sharon Ventura in her circus days and noticed that she bore a striking resemblance to Terriana. Investigating further, and with some help from the telekinetic mutant Vance Astrovic, Ben tracked down the Thunder Riders and met Sharon herself. After they defeated the villainous Marauder together, Ben joined the Thunder Riders, wanting to spend more time with Sharon. But ironically, the one that Ben was replacing when he joined was Sharon herself, who was already moving on to her next challenge. This time her job was to be a stunt performer in a film about a devil dinosaur. And so Ben soon left the Thunder Riders as well and instead signed up for the Unlimited Class Wrestling Federation, a league made exclusively for superhuman wrestlers. Intrigued by the thing, and with time before filming started, Sharon watched all of Ben's early matches. However, one of his opponents was none other than the Beyonder himself, who had taken human form and come to Earth. Since he was responsible for the Secret Wars, Ben blamed the Beyonder for the downturn his life had taken since then, and wanted nothing more than to beat him to death. And although the Beyonder was a being of immeasurable power, he was willing to allow the Thing to do just that. However, at that moment, Sharon Ventura emerged from the crowd. Beginning to calm down, Ben felt a great deal of regret over what he'd almost done, and fortunately the Beyonder survived. After that, Ben and Sharon kept in touch, and she continued to follow his wrestling career in the newspapers after filming on the Devil Dinosaur movie began. The two became friends, and Sharon even invited Ben to visit her on set. However, the production was cancelled after the animatronic dinosaurs drew the attention of a mutated Godzilla. No, seriously, this green monster is canonically Marvel's version of Godzilla, who was redesigned after the licensed Godzilla comic ended. After that ordeal ended and Godzilla returned to the sea, Ben told Sharon the truth about her resemblance to Terriana. And although he didn't want to talk about his crush, she still respected him and the two remained friends. She even accompanied him when he returned to LA to resume his wrestling career. Meanwhile, the UCWF also had a team of female wrestlers known as the Grapplers, made up of superpowered women. However, one of the Grapplers was murdered by the bloodthirsty vigilante known as the Scourge of the Underworld. While Scourge escaped, tensions boiled over when the other women attacked the Thing. Although Sharon Ventura was not superpowered herself, she knew that Ben was innocent and dove into the crowd to defend him. This caught the attention of the Grappler's manager, Anne Fraley, better known by her stage name Auntie Freeze. When things finally calmed down, Fraley told Ventura how to contact a man known as the Power Broker, who could supposedly augment her strength 100 times over. That night she told Ben about this, but he tried to forbid her from going. Frustrated, Sharon put her foot down and made it clear that they were just friends, and that he was not in a position to tell her what to do. Furthermore, she had already contacted the Power Broker and set up an appointment. On the way there, she was attacked by a gang of street toughs who attempted to mug her. She was outnumbered, but fortunately she was aided by an army lieutenant named Michael Lynch who happened to be passing by. Although appreciative of the rescue, she felt that she should have been able to handle the punks on her own and begrudged the fact that she needed help in the first place. And so Sharon Ventura met with the enigmatic Power Broker, not knowing that he was secretly the career criminal Curtis Jackson. Jackson turned Ventura over to his associate, Dr. Carl Malice, who vastly increased her strength, stamina, and agility with a series of radiation treatments. While she underwent the procedure, she experienced vivid hallucinations. She saw her father mock her for not being able to do things on her own and accuse her of cheating. Meanwhile, what Sharon didn't realize was that during the augmentation process, Malice would inject his subjects with a highly addictive synthetic drug. This was part of a larger scheme to extort money out of men and women who wanted to compete in the Unlimited Class Wrestling Federation. After a professional wrestler was augmented, Dennis Dunphy, the Demolition Man for example, they were given pills which Jackson claimed would stabilize their powers. In truth, these pills were additional doses of the synthetic drug, and so if a wrestler stopped taking them, they would begin to experience terrible withdrawal symptoms and would have to return to Jackson to resupply. However, before Sharon was given the initial dose of the drug, her hallucinations caused her to struggle and break free. Beginning to have second thoughts about the procedure, she realized something was amiss when hired goons tried to prevent her from leaving. However, her newly increased strength combined with her training and experience made her a powerful opponent. She was even able to dodge the deadly laser beams that Jackson employed to stop her escape. Taking a turn into another section of the building, Sharon Ventura discovered another of the power broker's secrets. The strength augmentation process Malice had employed was imperfect, and about half of those subjected to it were transformed into misshapen monsters. In fact, it was through sheer luck that Sharon's genetic structure allowed her to undergo the procedure without negative side effects. She soon escaped from the building but was swarmed by unlimited-class wrestlers who Jackson had under his thumb. Meanwhile, nearby, Michael Lynch was being attacked by the street thugs he helped fight off earlier. This time, it was he who needed help, which came in the form of Ben Grimm, the Thing. Lynch accompanied Grimm as he went to investigate the power broker, leading both of them to find Sharon fighting off a legion of superpowered wrestlers. Together, they defeated the initial wave of opponents, but more soon arrived. The Thing held off the reinforcements, allowing Sharon and Lynch to escape and report back to Anne Fraley, Antifreeze. However, Sharon's clothes had been ripped from all the fighting, and Fraley refused to listen until Ventura changed into the new wrestling costume she'd prepared for her. This costume reminded Lynch of one that was worn by Ms. Marvel, but she hadn't been publicly seen in over a year. They, of course, had no way of knowing that Carol Danvers had retired that identity after harrowing experiences involving the son of Immortus and another with Rogue. And so Sharon decided to use that moniker as a stage name and became the second Ms. Marvel. There was also a bit of romantic tension between her and Michael Lynch, but this was soon interrupted, as Anne Fraley proved that she was also in the pocket of the power broker and sent the grapplers to attack Ms. Marvel. Meanwhile, Ben Grimm defeated his opponents and returned to his hotel where he expected to find Sharon, but instead found Dennis Dunphy, the Demolition Man, another wrestler who refused to go after Sharon, despite going into withdrawal after running out of pills. D-Man told Ben everything he knew, including what he believed to be the stabilizing pills, and the Thing rushed off to help Sharon. She, meanwhile, had little trouble holding off the other women until he arrived. Grimm, Ventura, and Lynch escaped together and intended on investigating the power broker. However, by the time they reached his building, Jackson and all his equipment was gone. Furthermore, Ben's condition began to worsen as his body painfully mutated. The reason for this spontaneous mutation is unclear, but he was brought to a local hospital along with Dennis Dunphy. The good news is that Dunphy slowly began to recover from his withdrawal symptoms, and the truth about the power broker's supposed stabilizing pills was exposed. The Thing, meanwhile, refused to be seen by any of the Fantastic Four after their falling out. However, She-Hulk, the woman who replaced Ben on the team when he remained on Battleworld, soon arrived at the hospital. Ms. Marvel attempted to help her friend by sending the Jade Giantess away, but She-Hulk wasn't going to take no for an answer, leading to a brief fight between the two women. And although Sharon may have been the more agile of the two, She-Hulk was significantly stronger. But in the end, their conflict amounted to little as Ben Grimm broke through the wall and ran away. Fortunately, the painful mutation proved to be temporary, and when it was over, he remained in his standard Thing form. And with nowhere else to go, he eventually settled his differences with the rest of the FF and rejoined the team. Meanwhile, Ms. Marvel spent the following months investigating the power broker and trying to find his new base of operations. However, she was betrayed by Michael Lynch, who it seems was in league with the power broker the entire time, due to Jackson's dealings with the US Army. Ambushed by superpowered henchmen, Sharon was captured by the power broker and experimented on by Dr. Malice, who attempted to de-augment her, albeit unsuccessfully. The worst part of all of this was that she was repeatedly abused by the power broker's thugs. But she was soon freed when Captain America launched his own assault on the power broker. He and Ms. Marvel tracked Curtis Jackson to his estate, but it seems that he still had connections within the military. And Lieutenant Lynch soon arrived on the scene with an augmented soldier named G.I. Max. Captain America fought with Max, but during the battle, Lynch took matters into his own hand and tried to gun down the captain. However, his shots bounced off his indestructible shield, one of them striking Max in the throat. The augmented soldier was rushed to a hospital but pronounced dead on arrival. Of course, the US Army denied any knowledge of Max's creation. Michael Lynch took the blame for this and was reassigned to administrative work, and hasn't been heard of since. Curtis Jackson was taken into custody, but due to his money and connections, he avoided facing any real jail time. However, his comeuppance came sometime later when he was hunted by the Scourge of the Underworld. In a last-ditch effort to save himself, Jackson underwent the same strength-augmenting process he'd applied to Sharon Ventura and many others. However, he proved to be one of the 50% on whom the procedure didn't work correctly, and his muscles ballooned until they were too heavy to move under their own weight. While he eventually restored himself to normal, it's since been reported that he was subsequently killed by the Punisher. But back to the story at hand. After these terrible experiences involving the power broker, Ms. Marvel asked Captain America to bring her to New York, and he happily obliged. She avoided physical contact with him the entire trip, even while riding on the back of his motorcycle. Cap was concerned about her mental state, but trusted her to make her own decisions. And although she was conflicted, Sharon planned on finding Ben Grimm, who she considered the only real friend she had left. She soon found him while he and the FF were battling the evil alchemist Esteban Diablo, and jumped in to help. However, with unresolved resentment towards her abusers, Sharon took her anger out on Diablo and nearly beat the villain to death. While she admitted that she still felt a hatred towards men in general, she assured Ben that she still trusted him. And so, while Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman were leaving the team, the Thing invited Ms. Marvel to join his new Fantastic Four. Alongside her and Ben was Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, and his elemental inhuman ally, Crystal. The new team soon encountered their first opponent when Diablo mystically healed himself and returned. And Ms. Marvel found herself actually enjoying the subsequent battle when she was able to unleash her full strength against Diablo's alchemically created minions. However, her revulsion towards men later prevented her from catching the Human Torch while he was falling to his doom. While Johnny was instead saved by Crystal, this threatened Sharon's place on the team. Ben deeply cared for Sharon, but he needed to know that he could count on her in life-or-death situations. And she was determined to prove herself in their battles against the wealthy oil baron turned electronic supervillain, Facade. However, the two superhuman heroes were captured and chained by their foe. While the Thing was strong enough to break free from his bonds, Ms. Marvel was unable to do so. She lamented her lack of strength, feeling again like she was never good enough to do things on her own. However, Ben was there to remind her that she wasn't alone and that sometimes people need help. And so by working together, the two were able to break free and accomplish their mission. They were able to commandeer one of Facade's shuttles and successfully destroyed his satellite power source. And in the excitement, the two shared a gentle kiss, which Sharon accepted. However, as they returned to Earth, their craft was hit by the same kind of cosmic radiation that originally gave the Fantastic Four their powers. Their ship crashed, and Ben found that he had once again mutated into a stronger, spikier form. As for Sharon, she was transformed into a rough orange form resembling what Ben looked like when he first became the Thing. She quickly began to panic as depression and self-loathing overwhelmed her. Thankfully, Ben was able to restrain her and helped her calm down before she could do anything to hurt herself. In a subsequent adventure, the FF met the mutant Team X-Factor, made up of founding members of the X-Men, and Ms. Marvel fought alongside Hank McCoy, the Beast. At the time, he was stricken with a condition in which the more he used his physical strength, the more his mental faculties deteriorated. Inspired by his willingness to keep fighting and grateful to still have her own mind intact, Sharon Ventura resolved to keep going as a member of the Fantastic Four. And after adventuring through Mole Man's tunnels, Belasco's limbo, and the realm of the Beyonders, Sharon's relationship with Ben blossomed into a romantic one. The more time she spent with Ben, Johnny, and Crystal, the more Ms. Marvel's mental state improved and she accepted herself as she was. And her rough, scaly Thing form also hardened into a rocky state, just as it did for Ben in his early days. Later, when Johnny's Human Torch powers started to burn out of control, Reed and Sue returned to the team to help cure him. While Reed succeeded in helping Johnny, the villainous Wizard and his frightful Four attacked and interfered. Because of this, Ben Grimm was exposed to the cure as well, and miraculously, it returned him to human form. The original Fantastic Four was reunited, but with the Thing depowered, Ms. Marvel took his place on the team. Ben continued his relationship with Sharon, however, and occasionally helped the Four with an armored suit that mimicked his Thing form. During one of their many adventures together, the five of them crash-landed on a time-warped prehistoric island where their powers were neutralized. As a result, Sharon was returned to human form while they were there. Of course, this didn't stop her from helping a platoon of American soldiers fend off attacking dinosaurs. And she and Ben also took full advantage of the brief time in which they both possessed human forms. However, this caused her to once again resent her body when she reverted back into She-Thing. And Mr. Fantastic was unable to offer a solution that would cure her permanently. And so, in her desperation, she accepted an offer from the FF's longtime enemy, Victor Von Doom. With a combination of science and sorcery that no one else was capable of, Doom successfully changed Sharon back to her super strong human form. But ironically, while she was doing that, Ben intentionally changed himself back into the Thing so that Sharon wouldn't feel alone. Shortly after that, by implying that he'd captured Ms. Marvel, Doom lured the Fantastic Four to his castle in Latveria. In the ensuing battle, Ben transformed into his more powerful Thing form and nearly killed Doom. However, it was Sharon who stopped him and rescued the man who cured her. She and Ben were knocked out by Doom, who then fought Mr. Fantastic in a battle utilizing time-hopping technology. As a result of this and their other recent incursions into the time stream, this conflict was interrupted, and the five members of the Fantastic Four were taken into custody by the Time Variance Authority. Doom, meanwhile, only avoided this fate by faking his own death at the hands of the TVA agent Justice Peace. As a part of their plan to escape, Reed Richards requested a tour of the TVA's facilities. Fortunately, Sharon was able to help make this happen by flirting with one of their administrators, Mobius M. Mobius. Ultimately, the FF unregistered their timeline from the TVA's database, returned to Earth, and Ben was restored to his classic Thing form once again. Sharon stepped away from the team for a while after that, during which time something unexpected happened. As I mentioned earlier, Johnny Storm had seemingly entered into a relationship with Ben's first girlfriend, Alicia Masters, while Ben was off on Battleworld, and since then the two had even gotten married. Well, it was around this time that the FF discovered the truth that the Alicia that Johnny had married was actually a Skrull named Elijah. Furthermore, the heroic foursome were able to rescue the real Alicia Masters from her alien captors, and she was still in love with the Thing. An uncomfortable Sharon took some time away from the team and was soon contacted by Dr. Doom. As payment for the debt she owed him, Sharon entered into Doom's service, and at his command, returned to the FF. In truth, she hoped that Doom would agree to cure Ben just as he'd done for her. And when Alicia was later abducted by a rogue Watcher, Sharon donned a new Ms. Marvel costume to help Reed and Ben save her. However, during this rescue, Sharon overheard Ben confess his love to Alicia. Furthermore, Dr. Doom was able to steal power from the Rogue Watcher, which he harnessed with an advanced suit of armor. And so, the Fantastic Four subsequently battled Doom with Ms. Marvel fighting alongside them. Doom demanded that Ventura show her true allegiance and stand with him against his enemies. However, in that moment, Sharon turned on Doom and helped the FF defeat him and deprive him of the cosmic power he'd stolen. In the end, the day was saved, but Ben no longer trusted Sharon, and this proved to be the end of their relationship. The final nail in the coffin came when she asked a version of Franklin Richards from the future, specifically the Days of Future Past, if Ben would choose her or Alicia. When Franklin either couldn't or wouldn't answer, Sharon was crushed, feeling as though she'd made a fool of herself. However, things soon went from bad to worse as she was ambushed and abducted by agents working for Dr. Doom. As revenge for her betrayal, Doom mutated Sharon once again, but into a shape that was much larger and more monstrous than her previous She-Thing form. She went to Ben for help and was brought back to the Fantastic Four's headquarters for observation, but it didn't seem that much could be done. After running from the building, Sharon attempted to take her own life by throwing herself onto the third rail of a subway track. Fortunately, she survived, and Reed placed her in a state of suspended animation to heal and prevent her from mutating further. However, she was broken free by the criminal mastermind, the Wizard, and agreed to join his Frightful Four. Casting aside her previous identities, Sharon Ventura became known only as She-Thing. She later aided the Wizard in his scheme to plunder the land of the Kiwazi Native Americans. Since one of the Kiwazi, a man named Wyatt Wingfoot, was a close friend and ally of the Fantastic Four, this led to a battle between the two things. Sharon expressed her frustration with everything that had happened and how when she was at her lowest she couldn't get the help she needed. However, Wyatt could see that Sharon was a good person at heart and was able to talk her down. He invited her to remain on the Kiwazi reservation while she mentally recovered, and Sharon agreed. As she did, her mutation stabilized and she returned to her previous Thing form. She reconciled with the Fantastic Four and accompanied Sue and Alicia on a girls' night out with She-Hulk and Emma Frost. Sometime later, Sharon, like Alicia before her, was kidnapped and replaced by an alien Skrull. However, during the Skrull's failed secret invasion of Earth, the She-Thing imposter was killed and Sharon was freed. But after that, she was alone again. Ben and Wyatt were both busy with their own lives, and Sharon found herself seeking purpose. She joined the Unlimited Class Wrestling Federation, but in the intervening years, the company had been taken over by criminals who used it to traffic superhuman growth hormones. Sharon went along with this, but was caught in New Mexico and defeated by the Native American superhero Red Wolf. She was arrested and locked up in a superhuman prison where she eventually reunited with the Thing, who had been falsely accused of murder. Eventually they both got out, but Sharon again joined forces with the Wizard on a version of his Frightful Four. Except this time it was for a good reason. This time, Sharon and the Frightful Four helped Ben and other heroes defend the world from a murderous group of alternate universe Avengers and the destructive forces of a villain called the Quiet Man. So this leaves the question, where is Sharon Ventura now? Well, in more recent years, it seems the Unlimited Class Wrestling Federation has been reformed, and alumni like the Demolition Man returned. During one of these events, a woman who appears to be Sharon Ventura in her old Ms. Marvel costume was briefly seen. Whether Sharon somehow successfully learned to control her transformation, or if this was simply someone else in the same outfit, is currently unconfirmed. What is known is that when Reed Richards later called together everyone who'd ever been a member of the Fantastic Four, Sharon was among them in her She-Thing form. And so, whether you call her Ms. Marvel, She-Thing, or simply Sherry, Sharon Ventura remains a friend, an ally, and an honorary member of the Fantastic Four. But that's all I've got for you this week, and thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, share the video, and subscribe for more Marvelous content. Be sure to leave a comment letting me know what Marvel hero or villain you want to hear about next, and as always, the issues referenced in this video are listed in the description below if you would like to read them for yourself, as well as links to other places you can find me, including my Patreon page, where for only $1 a month you can get your name in these special thanks here. So until next time, true believers, Excelsior!